Hey guys, Lobsan here. I recently had a client that she has her website in Squarespace. The template that she was using does have a secondary navigation bar, and that did make it a lot easier because now you don't have to replicate the whole container. You could leave the same container that you were using before. What you would have to work with is just the navigation items inside that div, where you have the links of all the pages. So let me show you how I tackle that issue, and if somebody could benefit from this, because I know I spent a long time actually looking for a solution until I finally came across one solution here, one solution over there, and I decided to put them all together. A little bit of improvisation also here and there. So one of the things that I would like to show you, and you'll see it on the screen, is that the website has, if you go to pages in the website and you select a specific page, let's go to the settings of this particular page. That's not the page, that's the menu, but I think we can see it here as well. And you go to advanced, you could add code in any specific page. And to me, that would have been the best feature to address the concern of having multiple navigation bars to support multiple languages. But for some reason, I enter so much code and nothing worked. I showed absolutely zero change in the look of the website. So I gave up on adding code here. And I don't know if that's a glitch of this particular template or if Squarespace has an issue with this. I'm going to let you guys figure that out. But so what I did instead, and the reason why this would be much more convenient is because you go and target the specific page here, right? The way that I enter the code was a different way. I think it's design, if I'm not mistaken, and custom CSS. And here is my code. And this is the code that I use. This is the syntax that I use. And let me explain to you, especially for those of you that are not like me, that are not too proficient at coding. I was scratching my foot just in case anybody was wondering. So rude. In case you guys are not proficient enough in CSS, let me give you a couple of pointers or a couple of hints on how to, because I don't know if all templates are the same, and all templates have the same classes and div classes, and the containers are named the same. I doubt it, right? But so these are two things that you're gonna have to do to find how to build your code. You're gonna go ahead and open in Chrome. You're going to open. It has to be in Chrome. At least that's the way I know how to do it. I'm gonna open the page that we're working with, right? And I'm gonna need you to find two classes, what they are named. And these two classes are, so for example, in this page, this is my main navigation bar, and I position my second navigation bar. It was initially positioned here at the bottom, right, under the container. So I changed that, and let me show you how to change that. If you go back to design, and in design, you come to site style, and you click on your navigation here on the top. It should give you, there it is. So if you see, we have a primary navigation and a secondary navigation. The first thing that you have to do is place them both in the same position. In this case, it's top right, and the second navigation is also top right. One of them is hidden though, and that is the key to making this work. So the reason why you want them both to be in the same place is that if you leave them in second place, once you know how to hide one, and show the other one. Since the other one's going to be under it, now you're going to have to do also some CSS coding to move it into place, where if you have them both in the same place, what's going to happen is one's going to make the other one go to the side, right? Because they're blocks, they're horizontal blocks initially, unless you change the div, the class, the properties. So once you hide one, the other one will scoop into place, and vice versa, right? So here's a couple of things that you have to do. Let's go back to Chrome, and in Chrome we are going to inspect. Now I'm inspecting right now mobile. You can see the hamburger menu. And if you, which will be eventually we're gonna have to do the mobile, and I'll explain to you in a little while. So if you click here in this corner, it's gonna let you see the code of whatever you select and the CSS of whatever you select. So for example, this div is called the image.header-branding-logo, whatever, but we're working with this. So if you highlight over it, you can see that the div is called header nav inner. However, that might be a wrap, and what we want to, the one that I'm going to work with is, there it is, your primary nav. So it is called header-nav, header-nav-primary. The secondary one, which is right under here, is called header-nav, header-nav-secondary. So those are your two navigation containers or divs that have your link items for your menus of your pages, right? So another thing that we're going to have to look for is we are going to go back to mobile. And in mobile, we have to find it, because remember that now we're working with a hamburger menu. So we don't have that div anymore. So the classes that call on that div are different in mobile, but they're also not hard to find. Here's what it looks like, and if I click here on the corner, let me see if there's anything if it'll give me anything here. I don't think that feature is available. Oh, it is. Okay, so I clicked on one of the links, and it takes me close to where I need to be, and here it is. Mobile-overlay-nav, Mobile-overlay-nav -primary, right? And the secondary is the same exact thing, but it has secondary at the end. So those are the classes that we're going to be adding some CSS to, and let's go ahead and do it. The other thing that you have to do, and I'm gonna explain that in a little bit. Let's go back to the coding first, because I do need you to see exactly how this will work. Let's go back to design. Let's go back to custom CSS. We're not going to pay attention to the first one, because this is doing something different on the hamburger menu. We are going to look at this right here. And what this is doing is calling upon the navigation class header-nav-secondary, and it's hiding it by doing display none important. And what the exclamation point important is going to do is going to supersede, is going to take over whatever CSS you already have in there. This is going to be, it's going to have priority in the coding, right? So this is the one that's going to work if you add the important word on it. This class is saying you have two navigation bars, so we're going to hide the secondary navigation bar in desktop and the secondary navigation bar in mobile. And that's going to be the case, secondary. So throughout the whole site. Now, here's where we're running into an issue. Half of the site is in Spanish, and now we have the English navigation bar throughout the whole site, even the Spanish pages. So what we are going to do, and this is where it gets tricky. In order, you remember how I told you that there was a coding in the settings, in the gear of every page, where you could enter some code, but it didn't work for me. So the way that I solved that issue is that I went specifically to each of my pages, and I fetched the ID, the collection ID, and this is sort of like the VIN number of your page. that page, that thing number or that collection number is exclusive to that particular page. And it's the way that I'm calling on that particular page. So how do you find that number? Very, very easy. Let's go back to Chrome. Let's get out of the inspection mode. And now what we are going to do is we're going to view page source and do Control F to find, and then we're going to type collection, and you're going to find the one that says ID equal quotation marks collection, and this is your collection ID right here. Right. What I did instead is I went to all my English pages, which was about maybe 7 of them, and I added this code that affects only those pages, because I retrieved the collection ID of each one of those pages. So in those pages, I'm hiding my navigation, my secondary navigation for mobile and for desktop. Now, we do the same thing for the primary nav, which we have to hide. I don't know if you notice here that I'm hiding, see, display none to the secondary navigation bar. Here, to this particular page, I am hiding the primary because this page is in Spanish, so now I have to hide my primary navigation so that the Spanish one becomes visible, right? I'm not hiding the secondary anymore. I'm only hiding the first one. So whichever one you're not hiding will be visible. One thing that I do give credit for the template or for Squarespace is this is Squarespace 7.0, by the way, and it's also the template Brine family. And I think the specific template is called Impact, if I'm not mistaken. Every time that you enter a code here, as soon as you click enter, it actually updates right away. You'll see a refresh here on the side. So, and if you get an error, it's gonna display syntax error here at the bottom. So that'll give you some parameters and guidelines on whether you're doing it right or not, right? So, that's it. I don't want to take more time from you guys. One little issue that I ran into is that in the navigation and go to mobile here, when I in my Spanish one, in my Spanish menu for the hamburger, they were on top of each other. I don't know why. The system never took into consideration that the secondary navigation, the template didn't take into consideration that the secondary navigation needed some padding or some margin to separate each link. However, that wasn't too hard to fix as well. What I did is, and that's what you see here, I didn't have to call on any pages because this applies to the site, the whole site. And what I did is I specified that it was only for mobile throughout the whole site. So I called upon this class overlay-nav-item and open curly bracket, line height 1.3 em, and also I superseded to important. So what that did is that it created this much space in between each of the links so that it looks like this space that you have in the English one. The primary is fine. The primary has no issue. The secondary was the one that gave me that issue. But you only have to add this once. You don't need the collection ID because you're applying this throughout the whole site. And I hope I was able to save some time to at least one person out there that's working with Squarespace and wants to find out how to manage to have both languages and both navigation bars. If I can answer any questions for you, leave a comment. I'll see you guys later.